My name is Tawak Mutsai. I'm 20 years old. I live in Zone 1 Middlelands. I live with my grandmother, my younger sister, and my younger brother. I realized that I was gay when I was 12. Then I started seeing other gay men. Then I started to see that I fell for gay side because of when I grew up, I didn't have feelings for girls. I was feeling for boys. I didn't confront any person about my sexuality. They just saw me. My family, they love me, but they didn't show that to me. For me, it's safe in Soweto to wear girls' clothes. Because I'm not the only person who wears girls' clothes. All of my friends wear girls' clothes, and it's nice to wear girls' clothes because there's no one who discriminate us. It's only few people, because of many people, they do understand gay life, and they know that there are many gays who wear women's clothes. I was raped on the 14th of January 2000. It was a cultural festival. I went there with my two friends. Then I saw this guy. She called me, then I went to talk to her. Then she told me, where's my girl? Then I said, I didn't see him today. Then after a few hours, then she came and called me. She said to me, could you please buy me a cigarette? And I gave her a cigarette. Then after, he came again. Then he started pulling me and her friend, and they took me to the park at Zone 6. Then they raped me. The rape, it was painful. I couldn't stand the pain. Then after the rape, I came home and washed. Then my friends, they said to me, why don't you go to the police station? I said, no, I can't go to the police station, I'm scared. And the second thing, I don't know where the guy is doing. Then after 3 months, I went to the clinic because I was having this thing, they call them warts. Then I went to the clinic, they transferred me to Baragwana. Then I stayed at Para for 10 days for operation. After an operation, I stayed maybe close to 6 months before I get in bed. I felt lonely. I felt like I was living in a planet alone because I wasn't talking to anyone. And about the rape, I didn't tell my family.
Currently in South Africa, rape is defined as the intentional and lawful act of having sex without a woman's consent. So by its definition, it's very clear then that rape is only covers male on female rape. Anything that falls outside that very, very narrow, very gender-specific definition of rape constitutes indecent assault, or certainly lesser crimes, lesser sexual forms of sexual offences. The real problem is that even though the law might provide for an unequal form of recognition of sexual violence that happens against men, in actual reality men aren't able to use it. So when a man goes, for example, to lay a charge of indecent assault, even when he's been raped, when he goes to lay that charge of indecent assault, the police will not treat him as a rape survivor.
When my first sexual experience started, it wasn't a pleasant one. By the time I was about 7, 8-ish, my youngest uncle, who was about 21 by then, sexually molested me from that certain age. for about 2 years or 3 years. I knew that by working with gay and lesbian organizations such as Behind the Mask, I'll be healing as a person through the experience that I went, and also I'll be helping other young people so they don't go through what I went through. I wanted people to know that it does happen. Men are being raped, the young boys are being raped out there, and nobody speaks about it. And on top of that, we as boys, it's very difficult for me as a boy to go to the police station and say I've been raped because they just laugh at me.
I'm not against male people because I think if it's all umuntu azalunayo, I'm not against yona. But for those who just be normal and then all of a sudden they're changing, saying they're gay, I'm against. I can say male rape is happening, but people are afraid to come out because it is not familiar. People are afraid to come out because they say, oh, a male was raped. It is funny. But I think they should come out.
I wanna maskuluma nge-rape. Can sikhuluma nge-force in fact. Akuna agreement between two people. Yangithola.
Statistics around rape generally are very hard to come by. I think we've seen an increasing reporting of the rape of women in some circumstances, but because male rape is still so particularly shrouded in taboo and stigma, levels of reporting are very low. So we don't really have a clear idea of its extent at all.
Some cultures do not allow men, don't make it easy for men to be able to say I'm hurting and therefore this is the kind of assistance that I would like. Some cultures are, they insist that a man be masculine and a woman be, is allowed to be feminine. And when it comes to an issue such as rape, it's almost, because it's been so defined in terms of men and women, that it's almost difficult to make it easy for a man to be able to report the rape. But those men that are able to report the rape, I don't know how soon they're able to report it, whether they are able to do it immediately or whether they do it years afterwards. And of course, we find that in places like prisons, it's something that happens very regularly. And in those instances, it might actually be a lot easier for a man to be able to report that they have been raped, simply because of the environment.
Male rape generally and male rape in prison is obviously not homosexual. It's usually heterosexual inmates, people who have been heterosexual until their entry into prison, who are the key perpetrators. And the way that sexual violence happens in prison is in fact to distance it from anything that's associated with homosexuality. So you see this very clear division amongst prison populations of inmates into masculine identities or feminine identities. Also, people who identify as gay going into prison are automatically put into the category of women, which means that they're normally immediately set up as long-term victims of sexual abuse. They get a particularly hard time in prison.
The rape of a man will affect the man's identity. I think really it rests on a whole lot of different variables. For instance, the man's own gender identity, and I think that's a crucial one. Whether the man is able to, in some way, be assisted to accept, even though women are the ones that traditionally get raped, that he himself sees himself now as what happens now that I'm raped? Does it turn me into something that I'm not, etc., etc.? I think that it's hard. It's very hard, and I think it speaks of us as a society, of what do we do to assist men. It's hard enough for a woman to report the rape.
I felt lonely. I felt like I was living in a planet alone.
To